Do you know what time it is? Welcome to the Legacy of Nerd. My name is Daniel, and today we are here to review Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2, Issue 1. So, as usual, I am here. We're going to review it, but I also have the Legacy of Nerd official correspondent for my comic reviews, Retro Ray, man. How are you doing?
What's going on, sir? It's always good to have Power Ranger stuff to talk about.
We have so much Power Rangers stuff to talk about lately, especially comic book wise, and that's a great thing. So I'm gonna do a quick recap of Godzilla versus Power Rangers, the first series, because it kind of leads directly into this issue. So a quick recap: Rita gets this stone that is the multiversal focus, I believe that is called, because they can't get the name right. And as she is able to travel to other universes and other dimensions, well, she travels to one that happens to occupy Godzilla. She tries to take over Godzilla's will, which we all know Godzilla is meta, so there's no way that's going to happen. The Rangers follow her. They're trying to stop her from whatever evil plan that she has going on. They have to tangle up with Godzilla because Godzilla doesn't really have alliances, and it's weird. So she eventually tries to get other monsters to control Godzilla, and that doesn't work. Eventually, it ends with Godzilla defeating all of Rita's monsters that she sends out herself to try to take out Godzilla and the Power Rangers. And Rita's stone gets fractured, and she is basically lost in the multiverse while the Power Rangers return back home. So on issue 1 of Godzilla versus Power Rangers 2, it kind of just like picks up after that. It appears there have been some time. So it starts off with the White Ranger fighting a bunch of alien monsters, which look like Rita's monsters. He is fighting them. They're going through it. And he is kind of talking about like this universe is not his universe. And he is traveling different ones to try to stop Rita. The monsters grow very big, and he summons the Tiger Zord, of course. Well, out of nowhere, Godzilla appears, and that's an issue. He thinks it's Rita's monster. Saba's telling him that Godzilla is native to that Earth. He tries to tangle up with him for a second. He says that's not a plan. And then we see that the White Ranger actually has the multiversal focus stone and travels outside the universe just to not really get in with Godzilla. He goes to another universe, and it looks like mine. We find out that this is the same universe from the Power Rangers from the first series, and he immediately goes out and reaches out to the Power Rangers and Zordon, talking about how Rita is going from universe to universes, basically conquering them, taking out the Power Rangers, stealing them. We see other teams of Power Rangers represented. He talks about his own team that was basically taken away and kidnapped as well. And he even mentions that they look identical to the team that he's looking in front of him. The team in front of him is still the original 6 with the Green Ranger Tommy, and he's in this White Ranger suit. They kind of made a point to make sure that they did not say the person in this White Ranger suit was Tommy. He kind of just says, well, you may not have a White Ranger yet, or you may not have one at all, and then he gets cut off. Right at the end of the issue, or towards the end of the issue, we see that a portal opens up and Godzilla comes crashing through it with some of Rita's monsters, and they're just basically, oh no, we got to deal with it. And the Rangers remember dealing with Godzilla, and they're like, oh great, not this again. The focus moves over to Rita, who has basically teamed up with Astronoma, and they are helping each other, trying to take over the universe. Of course, until one of them betrays the other. And then we find out that Astronoma already has her Psycho Rangers. While Rita admits that they are impressive, she has her own monster ready to go. And it is her own version of King Ghidorah or Monster Zero. And basically saying that he cannot wait to siphon off the Rangers' energies to give it to the Psycho Rangers to show them real power. And the issue ends there. Woo! That was a lot of recap. So before we get to our review, Ray wants to give a quick shout out.
Yeah, quick shout out to Dragons Lair Alamo Ranch. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of this comic review stuff with Daniel and Countdown to the Geekcast and Star Wars stuff. So without them, we wouldn't be doing a lot of stuff like this.
Shout out to Alamo Ranch Dragons Lair. That's where I get all my comics. And of course, you're in San Antonio. Make sure to stop by there as well. All right, man. Ray, I want to know, what did you think about this first issue?
Okay, so I'm big into multiverses. If you ever watch a TV show Sliders, I love that show. It was ahead of its time. For some apparent reason, I love time travel stuff, and traveling between worlds and stuff. So when as soon as they mentioned that, I was like, dude, this would be so cool because now, well, mind you, this is the weirdest part though, because we got Boom who has the rights for Power Rangers, and then we have IDW who's also writing stuff for Mighty Morphin and Godzilla. Now, if they play fun and they do a crossover, because Marvel and DC have done that in the past, and other comics have done that in the past,
Mhm.
this would be cool if they were to do a multiverse crossover between IDW and Boom. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't do something like that. It was a great story. I liked it. It is intrigued me, made me think of, okay, she's already wiped out these Rangers from other, multiverses, and she's just slowly going through. But it left a lot of questions as well because, like you said, we know the White Ranger's Tommy, but he didn't
Well,
mention.
I mean, we assume
Well,
the White Ranger or a version of Tommy, right? So
true, true.
it may not resemble the Tommy that we're seeing as the Green Ranger right there.
Yeah. So I mean, it just opens a bunch of questions, man. I
Yeah.
just it left me wanting more. And if you're not familiar with Cullen Bunn, this dude is a phenomenal writer. He's written Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. He's
Oh wow.
written, yeah, he's written the first issue of this series that came out here. He's gotten a bunch of different of comics that he's done, horror based, superhero based. So go check his readings out. I mean, his gay has some in graphic novels. So he's a big Godzilla fan. He's a big horror fan. So it's right up his alley with this story right here.
I think right now with this Godzilla, like guys, especially with the movie coming out, New Empire, like people want more things to consume Godzilla. I know I felt like that after the Godzilla versus King Kong or Godzilla versus Kong, and I was looking for more at that time, and I think this is coming out at a perfect time. Now, what I thought about the story, so the first series, it was really hard for me to get into at first until we got to the later issues, and then I started to enjoy it more. This one, starting from the bat, like I really enjoyed it. I didn't know when I was reading the first couple pages, I was like, he's already the White Ranger. Like in the last series, he was the Green Ranger. We have a White Ranger here. Like, what is going on? And then, I realized he has the multiversal focus stone. And I'm like thinking, oh, this may not be our Green Ranger Tommy from the last series. This might be a different Tommy, or this may not be Tommy. This might be just the White Ranger. And I really like that because I didn't want to feel like I skipped anything from the last series, from the last team. We were just starting off from a different perspective rather than the team that we had before. One thing that I do like that I was seeing, we saw Astronoma come in. What gives me questions whether we're going to see the in space Rangers. Are we going to see Andros? Are we going to see Cassie? Are we going to see more Rangers that we're not expecting? Because we are in a multiverse. One thing on the last page of the last series, like we saw the Dino Charge Rangers, we saw what was another, the RPM Rangers. So they were acknowledging like the different universes for Power Rangers. I feel like this is a lot more story building up than in the last one, because the last one it was like 4 pages of story building up, and then it was like Godzilla versus Megazord. This one we're getting more of a plot point than we were in the first series. And then the first series was good. Like I liked a lot of the fights were really good, and I could imagine them playing out like in a movie, and I really enjoyed that as well. But in this one, I feel like we just have more of a storyline already.
Yeah, no, that's what I like about it because Cullen was basically saying he was giving us Godzilla and the Megazords fighting because that's what he was giving us from that aspect. And I guess that may have been a testing ground to see how well that comic did to do a continuation to this next series. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They realized, okay, hey, comic sales did do well with this. Let's continue it. That now let's fill in the story with more. That's just my opinion, thinking that from outside the box. Because if you think about it, it opens up so much more opportunities for, like you said, you can bring in other Rangers. It may be the same timeline, but the Rangers are just from a different universe. It could be a number of things. That's the one thing about I like about stuff with multiverses, and I think that's what Marvel is doing too, because they can introduce characters that they don't look the same. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So like, Captain America doesn't look like that Captain America that we know, but it's Captain America. And I
yeah.
think they could do this here, but the difference what they could do here is since it's a comic base, they can interchange so much and it gives them more things to work with compared to a movie or TV series.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I mean?
you and this issue in particular is more starting off from a jumping point.
Yeah.
Like there was like the first issue of the first series was like we're going big fight already, right? And
Yeah.
that first issue, I think they ended with like Godzilla and the Megazord clashing and them like basically really damaging each other. But
Yeah.
this one, like we didn't really have that so much. Like we saw Godzilla fighting a little bit, and we saw the Tiger Zord, which was pretty cool. But we didn't see that much more. One thing that did come out today was a solicitation for like a very special cover that ended up being like a big spoiler. And I don't know if you saw it, and I don't have an image up, but I can show it to you later. And it's basically an image of the Megazord if it was like a Titan or a Kaiju, right? And so it was like a biological Megazord, and I was just like, if they were already saying like big spoilers for the series of that, but like they released that cover, and like that's an issue 1 variant cover. So like big things are coming that they're experimenting with in this series. I'm really excited to see. I really did enjoying like the Megazord Godzilla fights in the first one, and I love the artwork, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that. And I really am interested to see how Astronoma and the Psycho Rangers play into this, and because we really haven't seen like we've seen it in Boom Studios like a little bit, but we haven't seen like the Psycho Rangers like really face off with the MMPR team. So
Yeah.
and really the Psycho Rangers are like the premier evil team, and like they're really really difficult to defeat, and even the in Space Rangers had to basically like, take out one at a time to even have a chance at defeating them. So if they're able to figure that out, or if they're able to power them up with any of this Kaiju Godzilla Titan stuff, I mean, like, oh my god, I can't even think of how that's gonna go.
Even if okay, let's say Rita does get control over Godzilla and the Psycho Rangers together, dude,
Yeah.
it's gonna be nuts.
Or seeing like Mothra come in, or some of the extra kaijus or titans that are considered like on Godzilla's side. That would
Yeah.
be cool because it was really Godzilla versus everyone in the first one, but this time like we're going, if they're doing a second series and this does well, they're gonna do a third. Like they're gonna start putting in more and more and more that we're gonna enjoy seeing. So some interesting things that we're going to see here in printed form. But yeah, I think that is going to be it for our review. We will be following this for issue 2 next month. Next week is MMPR The Return issue 3. We'll be covering that as well. We just talked to Matt Hodson last week, and he gave us some amazing behind the scenes insights on creating this comic and even possibly a sequel. So if you've not seen that, go check that out because he drops so much information and a lot of like how they got to where they got to building this comic. And we're only on issue 2 at the time. So guys, go make sure to check that out. That's going to be it for today. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Did you guys pick up this issue? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? If there's things that you want to see, did you enjoy anything that you did see? Let us know in the comments, and y'all know what time it is. It's Morphin time.